few things. First off, shout out to Ty Montgomery for coming on last night. For those that don't know, this is the second time actually that he's been on our show this offseason. And, each time that you hear him speak, you just get to like the player as well as the person more and more. You hear about the work that he's doing in the community, which is phenomenal. Check out IamTyMontgomery.com, I believe is the official website. And then just hearing, everything that he brings as far as his work ethic, his excitement level, which is, that of pretty much like a fan, which is so cool to see, hearing him talk about, I can't wait to hear the Jets chants and everything like that. That was awesome to hear. And then just hearing him describe, the relationship that he has right now working with Le'Veon Bell, how he's just a real student of the game, and that's something that, people don't really know about him as much. Everyone knows the elite player, but they don't know the student and the mind of Le'Veon Bell and how he's a strategic thinker, which, we kind of got to see on the One Jets Drive thing with Curtis Martin. So that was really cool to see. We had a few quotes on there, on working with Adam Gase and Sam Darnold. So definitely check out that interview. I don't want to give it all away. But a few other things about the roster before we talk about Buffalo, because we're finally going to start transitioning to actual game talk on this channel, which is such a breath of fresh air, because it's been about 6 weeks now as far as just, debating all these different players and, where they fit, who should stay, who should go, what does Joe Douglas need to do, what do we blame Mike Maccagnan for? It's been all this stuff now for 6 weeks, and finally we get to watch some football and actually, find some answers to all these things that we've been debating. So a few things. The Greg Dortch thing is still bothering me, I'm not going to lie. The fact that we still only have 5 wide receivers on the roster right now, it doesn't sit well with me. Whether it was Dortch or whether it was Burnett, I feel like one of those guys should still be on the active roster right now. I understand you might like Berrios, but he's also a guy that, was just released from the Patriots. Yes, it might have been because they have an excess of wide receivers, but at the same time, they still cut him. He's still a young wideout. So maybe they were trying to store him on the practice squad, which I think is a very likely scenario. But at the same time, they still didn't think enough of him to be one of their top 5 or 6. So if that's the case, how much does he bring to the Jets on the back end? And what I was hoping for, and what I think a lot of Jet fans were hoping for, is that we were going to add to what we had in Dortch and Burnett, and maybe find another guy that can fill in at that 4th spot in case somebody goes down, because let's be honest, these receivers have a history of getting hurt. So it's important to have some depth back there, and right now to only have Bellamy and Berrios behind our top 3, it's a little bit concerning. Yes, we mentioned last night how they could use Le'Veon Bell and Montgomery and a few other guys, Herndon when he gets back after the suspension, but still you want to have some more proven wideouts there. So I'm a little disappointed at the way that was handled, or that just the fact that they didn't add another wideout. And then the other spots, obviously, kicker. I'm not going to go too crazy until we actually see this guy Vedvik, kick in a Jets uniform. But the fact that the Vikings gave him a 5th-round pick and then they got rid of him, that doesn't usually bode too well for a player. And the fact that Douglas has had all this time, and I think Tyson said it best last night, you can assign blame to both guys, between Maccagnan and Joe Douglas. You want to blame Maccagnan for Myers. Listen, I've given my reasons why I didn't think they should have paid him. I'm not going to rehash all that. But, Joe Douglas has had months now to bring in a veteran kicker. It's not like there haven't been veteran options out there. He watched Catanzaro for the first week do nothing and not bring anybody in. He watched Bertolet look terrible and not bring anybody in. And so, now we're watching him bring in another kid who was just awful in Minnesota. So I'm going to get behind the kid. Don't get me wrong. I know he's got a strong leg and he's got some ability. I hope he gets it figured out. I hope Brant Boyer helps him gets it figured out. But I'm definitely not feeling too confident, because there's a good chance that a lot of these games are going to be close games, and you're relying on a kicker that doesn't have any experience in the NFL, that doesn't have any experience kicking in your building, and you had an entire preseason to get somebody in here, who could have had an opportunity to kick at MetLife, to gain some familiarity in our special team system, and, just to get comfortable before week 1. So I don't like the idea of rushing a kid that just got cut into our week 1 kicking situation. So and if you're gonna do that, again, it should be a veteran, a guy that's been around, that's done it before. So and the last thing I guess that I'll touch on is the pass rushing situation. And Tyson brought up a great point last night, between everything that was going on with Polite, if he supposedly had all these fines going on and everything like that, plus the Copeland suspension, which we found out a few weeks ago. I mean, that's another thing for Douglas. Like, we're not saying that he should, be landing these, all-pro caliber players and giving up future assets like crazy, to make this team this year better. Because I don't think anybody thinks this is a Super Bowl team yet. It could very well be a playoff team. But, to go crazy trying to give up assets for stars right now, I think would be foolish. I don't think Joe Douglas wants to go that route because he's supposed to be the draft expert. So I would think he wants to hang on to as many picks as possible to show that. I don't know. I look at, the whole thing with the pass rushing situation, say, if he knew Copeland was going to be out and he knew Polite was a problem where he was on the edge and he might get cut, well, why didn't you do something about it? And again, it didn't have to be with a star player. It didn't have to be, getting Jadeveon Clowney, even though he was only traded for, a third-round pick and a couple other guys. It didn't have to be for anyone crazy. Just, give me a quality guy. And again, maybe they think Lou was going to be that guy. I don't know. Maybe they're sold on Terrell Basham. Maybe they're just going to go with a lot of four-man fronts, guys like Kafusi getting in there. There's a lot of different ways they can do it, but I still think there's just a lot of things on the back end of this roster that Joe Douglas has had a very long time now to kind of get figured out, and he just hasn't done it. So we'll see when the season starts. I'm tired of debating it all. We finally have some real football to talk about. So go Jets. Talk to you guys soon. We'll be doing another show Friday night, breaking down the Jets-Bills game, so make sure you guys are paying attention to that, and we'll talk to you soon. Go Jets.